Welcome to the Met Office 10-day trend, a 10 days that takes us almost to the end of meteorological spring, but will contain some elements of summer weather, but also perhaps even a hint of autumn, at least for a time at the end of this week. Actually, the longer range forecast is fairly straightforward because most computer models suggesting that next week high pressure is going to move back in, and so for much of next week it looks dry. There'll be plenty of sunshine. It may start to warm up once more as well. Now, the shorter term, the next 2 or 3 days, that's where all the weather action is happening, with the potential for this current warm spell to cause some thunderstorms, and then the likelihood of things turning much windier and much cooler through Friday and Saturday. Let's take a look at the big picture first of all. High pressure is dominant. That's why we're seeing this current spell of warm weather. The position of the high allowing warm winds to waft up warm air from Spain and Portugal. Wednesday, warmest day of the year so far, with temperatures widely in the mid-20s, high 20s in a few spots. But notice, a cold front is coming in on Wednesday night and Thursday. That does a couple of things. It's a cold front, so it means Thursday won't be quite as warm. But perhaps more importantly, it's introducing moisture, and higher up in the atmosphere, as cooler air moves in with the warmth and humidity at the surface, well, that could rise rapidly and spark some thunderstorms. Now, lots of things have got to come together to create these thunderstorms, and it's just a potential at this stage. But there's a risk of some thunderstorms either just ahead of that weather front or on it on Thursday afternoon across East Anglia, South East England and the East Midlands, maybe Eastern Scotland too. Just the potential. They'll be very hit and miss. Make sure you're following the Met Office on Twitter for the latest updates on the shorter term forecast. But this is the 10-day trend, so let's look at the bigger picture. Notice down to the southwest there's an area of low pressure, and that will be moving in, bringing much cooler air and much windier weather, unseasonably windy weather for Friday and Saturday. Important to see where that's coming from though, so let's take a look at the even bigger picture across the Atlantic, because cold air is driving south from eastern Canada and hitting some warm air. Now, the warm air down across the Caribbean or just to the north is a little bit warmer than usual because we've had a tropical storm, Arthur, the first of the season. That's taken some warm air a little bit further north, and so the air's a bit warmer than usual with that cold air driving south. There's a strong temperature gradient, and it's that contrast in temperatures which peps up the jet stream. The jet stream increasing at the moment, and over the next 12 to 36 hours, that increased jet stream, say unusually strong for the time of year, is likely to spin up an area of low pressure that tracks across the Atlantic. Strongest winds look like being to the west of Ireland, but it will bring an unusually windy spell of weather across the UK as well, and much fresher air from the Atlantic also. Now, the winds are likely to be 40, 50 miles an hour, maybe more over some western hills. That wouldn't be unusual at all in October or November, but it's pretty unusual for this time of year, so it could just cause a few problems. And the rainfall as well, as that low moves in and then sticks around in the far northwest. Could be some pretty heavy rain in western Scotland through the weekend, so that's another area we're keeping a close eye on. This next graphic shows how the temperatures will change. The warmest day of the year so far on Wednesday. A cold front moves through, bringing slightly lower temperatures on Thursday, but still a fine day for most. And then we'll start to notice more of a change as that low really swings in. Another weather front moves through, and much more blustery and cooler conditions for Friday and Saturday, as well as some perhaps welcome rain for the gardens. So Friday and Saturday, a very different feel. Blustery conditions, some rain, could be heavy for a time, and also that cooler feel. But beyond that, well, this next chart then shows high pressure is set to move back in. The jet stream gets another kick out in the Atlantic, and that pushes it further north, sitting between the UK and Iceland, taking the low pressures up that way. Closer to those lows in northwest Scotland, likely to still see some rain, but for most it's high pressure moving back in, and that high pressure is set to stick around. So all the computer models in strong agreement that that high pressure will sit around for most of next week. This is the most likely regime, the most likely position of the pressure charts throughout next week. High pressure sitting pretty much slap bang over the UK, certainly bringing much of the south, central Britain fine and sunny weather, and perhaps also an increase in temperatures. Notice the isobars still quite close together across the northwest, so it's really western Scotland that's most likely to still see some unsettled weather. But for the majority, next week looks like a return to dry and fine weather. Make sure you stay up to date with the very latest day-to-day details from the Met Office by following us on social media. And as always, stay safe, stay alert, and stay across information to make sure you can enjoy the weather safely.